this property runs this community. A lot of people from this community work here. They're proud of this. This has got a lot of history here. And then when you think about the beauty with the hills, the mountains, the trees, the water.
One thing about this place is one of the words he kept saying, family. It's a place that when my family, everyone comes, they treat you like family. They treat you like you're one of their own. And it's, obviously when you look at the place, you look at the rooms, everything, it's like taking a step back in time. And I think that's an absolutely amazing place to be able to put your phone down and slow everything down. I mean, the world these days is so fast. Everything has to get done so quickly. And every time I've come here with my family at Greenbrier, it's like everything stops and it's slow motion. You actually get to enjoy life, enjoy your time with family.
Just this place feels like I'm a kid again. You get out here and you see nature, you see the trails, you see going on a hike. I grew up in Fresno. We go up to the mountains every once in a while, and that's just kind of what it feels like a little bit. And obviously it's more forested here and whatnot, but the 58, I don't know how to explain it, just kind of semi-blacked out, you can kind of say. It was one of those moments where the last 4 holes, I was obviously trying to win a tournament, but it started to rain, and I just kept focusing on my game. I didn't get outside of this bubble that I created with myself. I just wanted to focus on hitting the next best shot. And I think that's what really pushed me on to focusing on obviously winning the tournament, but to shoot in the 50s and then ultimately make the 40-foot on the last hole for 58. That was just the cherry on top. And what a special moment, a special place in my heart forever, and probably one of the most special moments in my entire life.
What a great game in the CFL tonight. And I say that as someone who just lost a money line play late, but what are you going to do? Excuse me. Thanks to Cam Stewart and to Scott Steen for joining us on the program. Scott did a great job first time on the program. Definitely have him on again in the future. Great catching up with our boy Vegas Matty, Mick Aussie as well. Big Card Julio will step up and in level 3. We'll get to some more bets and futures. But a big-time win tonight for the Ottawa Red Blacks. And good news, bad news. I'm a step closer to my over 6.5 win total for Ottawa in the season right now, as that's their 6th win of the season. They're 6-2-1. So think about that. Their win total was 6.5. They've only lost 2 games. They had a tie. They tied the game last week. So Ottawa's having a very good year this year. I like this football team. Part of me knew that I told you guys, it'll be a 1 or 2 point game, or it'll be super close. So I should have just said, all right, I'll take the dog. But Masoli played a little bit better. The Red Blacks played a little bit better than I thought they would tonight. One thing with Calgary are almost becoming like the Detroit Lions or the Chargers used to be. They're like an automatic tease. They're a teaser team. Like every game is just going to be, I don't know, they could win late or they could lose late. Like most of the Calgary Stampeder games are very, very close. And we had another close one tonight. So we're talking NFL futures. We still have to get to the best of X. And in fact, why don't we start to get to some of our best of X that we've got going on tonight. I want to get to this with Cam, actually. But let's still get to it anyways. My bad. They're making a movie about John Madden. I think it's a Netflix production. So they're making a movie. Let's roll the best of X here. So they're making a movie about John Madden's life and about the video game and the creation of the powerhouse that came to be. And Nicolas Cage will be playing John Madden. And listen, Nicolas Cage is a very good actor, and as you see, he's not a skinny dude anymore. He's a little chunkier. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt why they cast him to do it. But I saw Kyle Brandt tweet out earlier in the day. He goes, "Too bad John Candy wasn't still alive." Because if you're looking for a John Madden, John Candy would have been the guy. I'm thinking now, if not, like, all right, so you got Nicolas Cage. And like I said, Nicolas Cage is a hell of an actor. So I'm not going to say, oh, this is stupid. He can't do it. But I'm just thinking, who else, like, who else is out there now that it could have been? Because John Candy would have been awesome. But I thought of Kevin James. Well, you know, portlier guy, Kevin James, sports fan. Good actor. I like Kevin James. I thought, you know, but like I said, Nicolas Cage, I'm sure he's going to do a good job. I'm just thinking out loud here. Who else, like, you know, who else would have been good for this, actually? And they do have fat suits and all that, too, right? So, you know, you don't have to look exactly like them, you know, with makeup and prosthetics and everything. They can do some stuff, but I'll ask people on Twitter here. The next commercial break, I'll fire off a quick poll question. If not Nicolas Cage, who should have played John Madden? Because I got to be honest, I'm drawing a blank here. Like I said, John Candy would have been awesome, but John Candy's no longer with us. I thought Kevin James, but Nicolas Cage is a better actor than Kevin James is. So, who else? John Goodman. Yeah, you know, he's done a lot of the sports bigger dudes and stuff like that. I think Goodman actually could have pulled it off, but I don't know. He's probably all hopped up on Ozempic stuff like everybody is now. He's probably, you know, one of those. He's not as big, not as big as he used to be. But I'll check out the Madden stuff. So one thing though, the Madden was like a man of the people and stuff like that, but it upset, like, at the time. He made a lot of money off the players before they got money. So it'll be an interesting movie to see. You figure, wow, I would want to see a movie about the story behind the video game. I saw a movie about the Jordan deal with Nike and stuff. I think it was in Netflix or Apple. I don't know what movie it was. Well, I forgot what it was called, but it was actually pretty cool. Like, you know, you learn stuff, you see stuff that you didn't know about how the deal came together, you know, the real behind-the-scenes stuff. So I did get a kick out of Nicolas Cage being the actor, though. That was a good one. Got a couple of good ones tonight, actually. Somebody saw. We had to save some. We had to save some for tomorrow. This other one was for courtesy of the NBA. If we can get this one up, actually. This is like, so the NBA released their schedule today, and the Sun social media team trolls the Heat over attendance numbers in Miami as part of their schedule release. So for whatever reason, I don't know why, but the Phoenix Suns Twitter account today are basically like sort of like, you know, like NFL teams do. They take pot shots and fun stuff or whatever. So the Phoenix Suns took a shot at the Miami Heat and said, look at you, pointing at their empty arena and empty seats, sort of mocking the Miami Heat's attendance. That's all good, but Miami's attendance is better than Phoenix's is. So Miami, and I'm not the biggest Miami Heat fan, but Miami wins. Miami fires back by pulling up stats of the average league home attendance for every NBA team. And the Miami Heat troll them back. Interesting. Check in when you climb into the 24th spot. As there, you see the Miami Heat are at the top of the list. They're ranked like 4th. And the Phoenix Suns are ranked 25th. So, like I said, like, this is a pretty big fail. This stuff, you know, the sports employees. No, it's not adequate here. What is it, Seinfeld? Who's running the operation? George Costanza's working here? Like, how the hell did the Mets have Octua Girl, like, throw out the first pitch today? And if I'm the Phoenix Suns, like, you know, owner or, you know, whoever the boss is of the social media team, I'd, like, be like, how stupid are you? You troll a team for attendance that has better attendance than us. Like, what are you, a moron? Like, evidently, yeah, you are a moron. So, our What the F is wrong with you segment of the night, we're gonna have a lot of them tonight, is whoever's running the Phoenix Suns social media account. Don't troll teams that sell more tickets than you do. Oh, there we go. Yeah, what the F is wrong with you? This is This is dedicated to the New York Mets, as we stated. You know, like I said, you want the Hawk girl to show up to your beach party at a nightclub? Fine. You want her to judge a wet T-shirt contest, you know, in the Redneck Hill Mountain somewhere? Go ahead and do it. You're going to put her on a Major League Baseball field and have her throw out the first pitch? Because you couldn't find like a lifelong season ticket holder who would like to do that. You couldn't find like a hero fireman, a teacher, a nurse. You know, you couldn't have found like anybody besides the Hawk girl, evidently, to throw at the first pitch. So say, what the F is wrong with you to the New York Mets? But, oh, yeah, I know what's wrong with you to the New York Mets. I don't care who owns you and how rich or poor you are, or whether you're getting fleeced in hedge fund deals, or whether you got the richest owner in the league. You guys still do stupid things. And if I was Steve Cohen, I'd have a word with the moron that invited this girl to throw out the first pitch today. Like, why don't we have Monica Lewinsky throw out the pitch tomorrow, guys? Like, what are we doing here? Like, at what point in society, too, do we ask ourselves, you know, fine, good for her. Let her go cut the ribbon at a strip club somewhere. But what the hell is she doing on a Major League Baseball field? That's my question. And I'll wrap it up with what the hell is wrong with the dumbass kids running the Phoenix Sun social media account. All right? You guys are like a Metallica cover band trolling Metallica for attendance sales.
This property runs this community. A lot of people from this community work here. They're proud of this. This has got a lot of history here. And then when you think about the beauty with the hills, the mountains, the trees, the water.
One thing about this place is one of the words he kept saying, family. It's a place that when my family and everyone comes, they treat you like family. They treat you like you're one of their own. And it's, you know, obviously when you look at the place, you look at the rooms, everything, it's like taking a step back in time. And I think that's an absolutely amazing place to be able to put your phone down and slow everything down. I mean, the world these days is so fast. Everything has to get done so quickly. And every time I've come here with my family at Greenbrier, it's like everything stops and it's slow motion. You actually get to enjoy life, enjoy your time with family.
Just this place feels like I'm a kid again. You get out here and you see nature, you see the trails, you see going on a hike. I grew up in Fresno. We'd go up to the mountains every once in a while, and that's just kind of what it feels like a little bit. And obviously it's more forested here and whatnot, but the 58, I don't know how to explain it, just kind of semi-blacked out, you can kind of say. It was one of those moments where the last 4 holes, I was obviously trying to win a tournament, but it started to rain, and I just kept focusing on my game. You know, I didn't get outside of this bubble that I created with myself. I just wanted to focus on hitting the next best shot. And I think that's what really pushed me on to focusing on, obviously winning the tournament, but to shoot in the 50s and then ultimately make the 40-footer on the last hole for 58. That was just the cherry on top. And what a special moment, a special place in my heart forever, and probably one of the most special moments in my entire life.
Well, we played 2 football games tonight, and they were separated by a combined 3 points. 1-point game in the NFL tonight, 14-13 final score. Philadelphia Eagles win. And we get a 30, what was the final score? Hard to keep up at the end with Ottawa kicking the field goal. It was 31-29 final score. Of course it was 31-29 because I had over 60.5. You can't make that up. I told you already over 58.5, and we did jump in on that as well, but we had to remember when I told you the 58.5 and a plus 8.5, but I also had it over 60.5 as well. And I've lost. Like, you figure the CFL, as random as it is, with the extra, with the, the single points and some of them high scoring, not the pregame numbers, but the in-game numbers. I'll give credit to the odds makers and their algorithm and their computer, because I jumped in on over 60.5 like late in the first quarter of play, and it ends up at 60 when the game is all said and done. So I got to tip my cap to them. They were better than I was tonight. Although Calgary left some points on the field. Whatever. We gave you 3 picks before the game started. Calgary minus the 3, the over in the football game, and a Calgary over teaser. So we went 2-1, and we're now a robust 74-53 in the CFL this year. Let's bring in Big Card Julio right now. Julio Rosario. What's up, Julio? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Gabe. Crushing it in the CFL. Beats betting bad baseball, my friend. So, again, tip of the cap to you. And, hey, what a crazy summer. We've got European football restarting for most of Europe this weekend. So who needs bad baseball? We've got college football opening week in 2 weeks, and we're off and running all the way until the new year.
Yeah, we've got Manchester United and Fulham coming up. As you stated, there's all kinds of soccer coming up, and a U.S. men's team hired Chelsea's former manager today as well, Julio.
I like that. Yeah, Mauricio Pochettino, who took Tottenham to the finals of the Champions League a couple of years ago, a coach who's known for taking overachieving with players, getting them to achieve their maximum potential. So I like the move. It's aggressive. He's friends with the women's national team coach with their relationship at Chelsea. Well, we shall see, Gabe. It's an interesting move. Good for Team US, and now it's time. Can they start scheduling better friendlies? That's going to be the key. Without a Gold Cup, a World Cup qualification, they need some good competition ahead of 26 World Cup.
Yeah, you know what the problem is, though? There's not a big window for these players, right? They just played the Euro, they just played the Copa and stuff. You got these Leagues Cup. There's so much action. I know, because Team Canada, basically, they've got like 3 or 4 games basically before the World Cup. They got 2 squeezed in. They got another 2. Like, these teams don't have. That's the challenge. One thing for a new manager, you don't have a lot of time with the new team. We saw Canada was able to come together pretty quickly, but that 2026 World Cup is going to be here before we know it, Julio. It seems 2024 is going fast. Football season will start. Next thing we know, it'll be winter time. It's going to be 2025, and the World Cup's going to be 1 year away.
Help is the fact that with true pressure from the home nation, from home media, and a big-name manager who has performed well, that it's going to be time for guys like Pulisic to actually step up domestically in these European leagues to showcase, man. It's a good move. I like it, though.
All right, Julio. So we'll get back to the soccer picks, but we had NFL preseason football tonight, CFL football. College football is coming up. Have you put any more future bets in since we last spoke as far as college football is concerned?
Not at the moment. I've been trying to kick the tires on Colorado. Their season win total's 5.5. If you remember last year, we rode 3.5 and 4.5, and we're getting too high on our own supply with that 4.5 ticket. Other than New Mexico, for me, a lot of the good numbers have been gobbled up by the pro bettors. So nothing yet. I'm still looking. Hopefully by next week, Gabe, I can have something good. I mean, Air Force over 6.5. I think the Falcons can get to 7, minus 130. I just don't like putting up my money for such a long period of time laying juice. Even though I think Air Force are going to be really good this year, I feel the same way. Pardon me, with Wyoming. Wyoming got rid of Craig Bowl, retired. He was one of those old curmudgeon coaches where, especially on the offensive side of the ball, when they're stagnant, they were stagnant. He really didn't want to do anything in terms of throwing the ball downfield. Their numbers at 6.5 as well. but that's at plus 105. I think I'm going to put that one into the account, Gabe. Wyoming Cowboys over 6.5 plus 105.
I like that. Julio's going to be focused in on a lot of these Mountain West teams this year in that region. But, as far as Colorado, I'm not like anti-Dion. I got to be honest. Like, I kind of think the program's going in the wrong direction. But I'm not a hater. So I'm not like, I hope he fails and all this. But at the same point in time, it doesn't really matter what I like or what I don't like, does it? There's just facts. I mean, the record's going to be what it is, Julio. And you look at Colorado, I'm starting to buy in, Julio, that this is a under 5.5 football team. And you look at the schedule. So let's give them the North Dakota State game, even though I like North Dakota State plus the points in that game. But let's give them that game. I don't think they're going to beat Nebraska in Lincoln, Julio. And Colorado State and Colorado, you saw the war that they already have right away between these two. Colorado State nearly knocked them off last year. So, all right, let's even give it to the Buffs. So let's give them 2 wins here that they beat North Dakota State and Colorado State. Baylor aren't a juggernaut, but they're not easy to play. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like Colorado's better than Baylor is suddenly. Colorado, UCF, I think UCF, beat them. K-State are one of the best teams in the country this year. K-State are like a dark horse to make the playoffs. Like, they're not going to beat them. Arizona are loaded. Like, Arizona have a ton of starters back, are really, really good. At Texas Tech, hosting Utah, at Kansas, Oklahoma State, they're not getting the 6.
This property runs this community. A lot of people from this community work here. They're proud of this. This has got a lot of history here. And then when you think about the beauty with the hills, the mountains, the trees, the water.
One thing about this place is one of the words he kept saying, family. It's a place that when my family, everyone comes, they treat you like family. They treat you like you're one of their own. And it's, obviously when you look at the place, you look at the rooms, everything, it's like taking a step back in time. And I think that's an absolutely amazing place to be able to put your phone down and slow everything down. I mean, the world these days is so fast. Everything has to get done so quickly. And every time I've come here with my family at Greenbrier, it's like everything stops and it's slow motion. You actually get to enjoy life, enjoy your time with family.
Just this place feels like I'm a kid again. You get out here and you see nature, you see the trails, you see going on a hike. I grew up in Fresno. We'd go up to the mountains every once in a while, and that's just kind of what it feels like a little bit. Obviously, it's more forested here and whatnot, but the 58, I don't know how to explain it. Just kind of semi-blacked out, you can kind of say. It was one of those moments where the last 4 holes, I was obviously trying to win a tournament, but it started to rain, and I just kept focusing on my game. I didn't get outside of this bubble that I created with myself. I just wanted to focus on hitting the next best shot. And I think that's what really pushed me on to focusing on obviously winning the tournament, but to shoot in the 50s and then ultimately make the 40-foot on the last hole for 58. That was just the cherry on top. And what a special moment, a special place in my heart forever, and probably one of the most special moments in my entire life.
This is SportsGrid. Gabriel Morency, Big Card Julio kicking with us. We're just talking about the Colorado Buffaloes. A very polarizing team. When people talk about him, it seems like either people really love Dion or don't like him and what's going on there in Boulder right now. But as I stated, I just sort of get the feeling, and I've been following this team pretty closely, Julio. There's more dysfunctionalness than, there's so much turnover of players all the time. there's special preferential treatment to his kids and other guys on the team as opposed to other players on the team. I don't think they have, like, you know what I mean? I don't think they're like some tight unit that are growing together. I could see them turning on each other once again as the season goes on like they did last year. And they kind of tapped out. And now you got Shedeur Sanders, who will be one of the top 5 picks in the National Football League draft this year. As long as he plays well, even if the team sucks, he's going to be one of the top 5 picks in the draft. And I could see Shedeur Sanders, like, I could see Dion saying, I'm not playing my son for a 3-6 football team, right? Or, you know what I mean, if they're struggling late. So I'm starting to buy in that sort of more bad things than good things can happen to them. And as I stated, Julio, too, it's not an anti for Buffalo fans out there. It's not an anti-Buffalo take. It's a hard schedule take. You know what I mean? Like, where are the 6 wins coming from? Like, so we'll give them North Dakota State. We'll give them Colorado State, even though that game's at Fort Collins. I don't think they're beating UCF. I don't think they're beating Kansas State. I don't think they're winning at Arizona. I don't think I know they're not beating Utah. I don't think they'll beat Texas Tech at Texas Tech. Yeah, Cincinnati, give them the Baylor game maybe. At Kansas, second last game of the year is hard. Oklahoma State are a really good football team this year. You know, and listen, Phil Steele's one of the best in the business, and Phil's got them at 5-7 for the record. So sort of right there. And he said he thinks they could be a bowl team, but, you know, they'll fall a game short.
You know, if you want to play, if you're looking at this from a strictly numbers perspective, it's only under 5.5 wins. If you want to play it over the course of the season, you can probably take advantage of some good numbers. I think the turning point for the Buffs is going to be that stretch between UCF and Kansas State. They take on Central Florida in Orlando on September 28th, a bye week before they host Kansas State. So if Colorado are going to, if they're going to get 6 games, that those 2 games are going to be very critical for Dion and crew.
For me, Julio, the telltale sign for this football team is literally it's the first 2 weeks. Like, I'll give them a ton of freaking credit if they go 2-0. I will. Like, you know, North Dakota State, an FCS team, but we know that they're a power and have won like 7 of the last 11 championships. So they're a very good football team. They're not quite as good as they were before, but they're still good. And they're going to have this game circled, and they have all offseason to prepare for it. But they also lost their coach and stuff. Like, so, but nevertheless, I'm just saying, they're a physical football team, good football team. And so if you're able to beat North Dakota State, cover, and then go into Lincoln, Nebraska, and beat Nebraska, who've recruited pretty well, then I'll be pretty impressed. Then after you got the Colorado State game, right? So each and every game is just so massive for them. But do you think they're going to beat Nebraska? I'm not the biggest Nebraska backer, but I think Nebraska's physicality at home at this stage would rule there now in the second year. I think he can get something going here.
It's 6.5 right now. I'm willing to take Colorado at 6.5. I don't think they're going to win. I think it's going to be a close game. I mean, you've got Lincoln, Nebraska Saturday night. It's going to be a 6:30 local kickoff. It's going to be an insane environment. So I think Colorado would lose a close one in that one. I think they start the season 2-1 ahead of Baylor on the 21st of September.
I've got some college football win totals lined up in front of me here that I've either played, I'm going to play, and we've got Arkansas State. Arkansas State can get over 5.5 or over 6.5 at plus money, but I think they can actually get to 7 plus 145. East Carolina, very trendy team this year, over 6.5 plus 100. I think Michigan are being undervalued at 8.5. You have to lay the 60 cents to get there. Notre Dame. I don't think Notre Dame goes 11-1, guys. I think Notre Dame is a 10-2 football team, which probably gets them into the playoffs anyways. But their win total is 10.5. I would go under. And I think that Ohio State and Oregon actually are both. Like I said, I think people are just sort of assuming, Julio, a lot of these teams, like, I almost like when I read these like previews and polls, people don't realize that there's a new college football world, that the schedules are hard now. Mo and Julio on the other side.
This property runs this community. A lot of people from this community work here. They're proud of this. This has got a lot of history here. And then when you think about the beauty with the hills, the mountains, the trees, the water.
One thing about this place is one of the words he kept saying, family. It's a place that when my family, everyone comes, they treat you like family. They treat you like you're one of their own. And it's, obviously when you look at the place, you look at the rooms, everything, it's like taking a step back in time. And I think that's an absolutely amazing place to be able to put your phone down and slow everything down. I mean, the world these days is so fast. Everything has to get done so quickly. And every time I've come here with my family at Greenbrier, it's like everything stops and it's slow motion. You actually get to enjoy life, enjoy your time with family.
Just this place feels like I'm a kid again. You get out here and you see nature, you see the trails, you see going on a hike. I grew up in Fresno. We go up to the mountains every once in a while, and that's just kind of what it feels like a little bit. Obviously, it's more forested here and whatnot, but the 58, I don't know how to explain it. Just kind of semi-blacked out, you can kind of say. It was one of those moments where the last 4 holes, I was obviously trying to win a tournament, but it started to rain, and I just kept focusing on my game. I didn't get outside of this bubble that I created with myself. I just wanted to focus on hitting the next best shot. And I think that's what really pushed me on to focusing on obviously winning the tournament, but to shoot in the 50s and then ultimately make the 40-foot on the last hole for 58. That was just the cherry on top. And what a special moment, a special place in my heart forever, and probably one of the most special moments in my entire life.
This is Sports Rage. I'm Morency. We'll get Julio's soccer picks and all of his best bets, but I just want to bring up the Boise State Broncos. So I was talking about UTSA making the playoffs, or a Memphis, or a Liberty, because one of them have to get in, and more than one of them could, but they don't have strong enough schedules. But as we talked about last night, guys, Liberty's schedule, it's a great bet for the win total, and I love it over 10.5. But Liberty's schedule, strength of schedule, is 134th out of 134 teams. So in other words, they literally have the softest schedule in all of college football. So even if they're 12-0, how's that going to impress the committee? And then you get UTSA, Memphis, Tulane in that conference. They're kind of going to beat each other up a little bit. They're all pretty good, so I think they're all going to have a couple of losses. And then which leads us into Boise State, who I do think is the best team in the Mountain West. And you look at Boise State's schedule, guys. Boise State at Georgia Southern, Boise State at Eugene to take on the Ducks, and then it's Portland State at Boise State, Washington State at Boise State, Utah State at Boise State, Boise State Hawaii, Boise State UNLV, San Diego State Boise State, Nevada Boise State, Boise State San Jose State, Boise State Wyoming, Oregon State Boise State. Really, Julio, the Boise State Broncos, there's no reason why this is not an 11-1 football team this year. We'll give them the loss to the Ducks, but I think they're going to win every other football game, and that really could get them into the playoffs at plus 400.
Not only is the schedule really good for Boise State, but the Mountain West television deal with Fox and CBS allows for the conference to be on national television, which will put them into the eyes of the committee more. They'll have 2 games back-to-back weeks against on Fox. They end the season with Oregon State on Fox. So that's a big deal. The committee doesn't have to serve. And where's FS2? Yes, they have the channels, but come on, this is the national writers. They're kind of lazy when it comes to these West Coast schools. What's going to be tough for Boise State is that game against Wyoming in Laramie. It's in the middle of November. It can go one or two ways. Covering games in Laramie, Wyoming. It could be decent or misery. So Boise State has to hope that it's not going to be 80-mile-per-hour winds in that game in the middle of November. But I agree with you, Gabe. Any of these group of 5, Boise State has all the makings to be a party crasher.
Boise State have like a wild schedule in the sense that they play in all kinds of different climates. Like they're going to Georgia to start the season. Then they go to Eugene, Oregon in the Pacific Northwest. They play a bunch of home games. They go to Hawaii. They go to Las Vegas. But as Julio just stated, they're going to play in like vicious conditions in Wyoming. They're going to see it all. They're seeing beach. They're seeing snow. They're seeing the mountains. They're getting a little taste of everything here this year. Like a lot of these teams going to be traveling a lot, but it's a good football team, guys. Boise State. They bring in Malachi Nelson. This guy was like a 5-star recruit for the USC Trojans, man, and Lincoln Riley, and he split. Boise State got him, so it's like a massive get for Boise State. Like it's the biggest prospect Boise State have ever had, and they've had some pretty good football players, but they never had like a blue chip quarterback like this. Before Kellen Moore was good, but he wasn't blue chip. This kid is like, this kid's a real stud. So, Julio, what do you got for us then? I know you're going to be betting some soccer. What do you got for us now the Olympics are gone?
Well, let's first start with college football since we're closing on this subject. The line has moved. New Mexico hosting Montana State. Montana State will be a top 5 in the FCS when they kick off next week. Give me New Mexico +9 against Montana State. I'm looking for a good money line number for the Lobos to get the home upset victory. Real Madrid, Gabe. I mean, seeing this team the other day against Atalanta in the Super Cup. I mean, you want to talk about a super team with Mbappe joining the crew. Real Madrid -1 against Mallorca +137 this weekend. FC Porto in Portugal, clean sheet +110 against Santa Clara. Manchester United on the money line as the English Premier League kicks off. And how about the Leagues Cup game? Club America hosting Colorado Rapids. 80,000 will go crazy in Guadalajara. Give me Club America on the money line against Colorado Rapids, and the Philadelphia Union on the money line game.
I like the picks, Julio. Good stuff. I like the picks. Big card, Julio. So what do you got going on this weekend, Julio? Any work? You working any games or anything like that?
Nothing this weekend. Preparing for a crazy couple of weeks. I'll be in Green Bay at next weekend for Ravens Packers, and then college football season starting up in Jacksonville, Alabama. How about the Battle of the Birds game? Jacksonville State and Coastal Carolina. I'll be at that game, so I'll coordinate with Tommy on dates over the next couple of weeks.
Oh, nice. There's some random games you're going to be attending. I like it. I'll be at the LSU-USC game in Las Vegas on September the 1st. Big card, Julio. Always good, Julio. Thanks for taking the time to be us. May the winners be yours.
May the winners be yours, Gabe. Always appreciate it. Happy belated birthday, as always, Gabe, and best of luck, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, Julio. There's a big card, Julio. JN Reports on X. Great stuff with Julio. I like this soccer picks. I can't disagree, man. Looking at this Real Madrid team right now. Great team to hammer before the odds really start to get crazy. He said -1. I don't have a problem with that. We were talking college football and looking at to make the playoffs, make the playoff odds. Boise State are +400. And, there's a couple of other teams here. And one team that I originally thought, all right, everybody's sort of, talking about this team getting into the playoffs now. And let's be real. Like the college football playoffs were like expanded almost because of Penn State and because of, let's say, Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? It was basically like the Big Ten and the SEC saying, if we expand this, we can get a couple of more teams each in this thing. The ones that are always just falling right short. And I thought to myself, well, they still need to go out and actually win these football games and do it. And I like Lane Kiffin. I think he's a fun guy. I think he's done a good job with the program. But at the same point in time, they don't win big football games. And they weren't close to winning big football games. Like Ole Miss are one of these teams right now where they beat the inferior opponent, but when they play someone better than them, they get punched in the mouth. So I'm having a hard time sort of anointing them as much as a lot of people are. We know Georgia's going to be good in the SEC. I believe that Alabama are going to be really good in the SEC. And, LSU are kind of a question mark to me. They're another one where, all right, you weren't great last year and you had Jaden Daniels and a bunch of stud wide receivers. Right? So I'm not overly sold basically on LSU, but Texas are really good. So my point is, I don't love this Ole Miss situation, and we can go over Ole Miss's schedule a little bit later on. But it's I sort of wanted to get to the Penn State Nittany Lions, in which if you look at Penn State's schedule, there actually is James Franklin probably will get fired if they don't make the playoffs. The schedule. This is the year for if there's ever a year for Penn State to actually get into the playoffs. You got the expanded playoff for teams like you that go 10-2 all the time, in a world that you needed to be 11-1 or 12-0 to get in, right? Because it's not like Penn State are bad; they just lose to Michigan and Ohio State all the time, but they don't play them now. That West Virginia game's no joke to start the season, but excuse me, if you look at their schedule. They play West Virginia, and that's Bowling Green, Kent State, Illinois, UCLA. At USC is one of the trickier ones. They host Ohio State. That's their game of the year.
This property runs this community. A lot of people from this community work here. They're proud of this. This has got a lot of history here. And then when you think about the beauty with the hills, the mountains, the trees, the water.
One thing about this place is one of the words he kept saying, family. It's a place that when my family and everyone comes, they treat you like family. They treat you like you're one of their own. And it's, obviously when you look at the place, you look at the rooms, everything, it's like taking a step back in time. And I think that's an absolutely amazing place to be able to put your phone down and slow everything down. I mean, the world these days is so fast. Everything has to get done so quickly. And every time I've come here with my family at Greenbrier, it's like everything stops and it's slow motion. You actually get to enjoy life, enjoy your time with family.
Just this place feels like I'm a kid again. You get out here and you see nature, you see the trails, you see going on a hike. I grew up in Fresno. We go up to the mountains every once in a while, and that's just kind of what it feels like a little bit. Obviously, it's more forested here and whatnot, but the 58, I don't know how to explain it. Just kind of semi-blacked out, you can kind of say. It was one of those moments where the last 4 holes, I was obviously trying to win a tournament, but it started to rain, and I just kept focusing on my game. I didn't get outside of this bubble that I created with myself. I just wanted to focus on hitting the next best shot. And I think that's what really pushed me on to focusing on obviously winning the tournament, but to shoot in the 50s and then ultimately make the 40-foot on the last hole for 58. That was just the cherry on top. And what a special moment, a special place in my heart forever, and probably one of the most special moments in my entire life.
This is SportsGrid. Gabriel Morency. I'm looking at the win total right now. So just for the record, the Penn State Nittany Lions are minus 140 to make the playoffs. And their win total is 9.5. There's different numbers depending on where you go. And, as we talk about it, you can lay the minus. If they're going to win 10.5, whatever, you can lay the plus, the alternate lines. But I'm seeing 9.5, minus 170 to the over for Penn State. And I do believe in the Penn State program. I respect the program. I think Franklin's a great recruiter. If you look, they always have big-time NFL. If you look, there's a lot of big-time NFL players that are at Penn State. But then you got to ask yourself after, you're like, You're like, wow, you guys had like Micah Parsons and Saquon Barkley and Godwin. You have all these guys, you go down the list. It's like, how come you actually didn't win more? Like, you know what I mean? And Franklin's one of these dudes who it's sort of like Ryan Day right now. Ryan Day is like 56-8 in his career, yet he's on the hot seat and can get fired because he's lost to one specific team 3 years in a row, the Michigan Wolverines. And James Franklin, similar situation. Franklin has a great record against everybody except Ohio State and Michigan, who he's 2-11 against, I think, 1-11, 2-11 type thing. So, and that matters, right? But the whole thing is now with the playoff being expanded, like I said, it was almost the Ole Miss and Penn State special, the Tennessee Volunteer special. All right, one of you guys that always gets screwed by a game, you think, or you know what I mean? You're going to get in now in the Big Ten or the SEC. And Penn State, don't kid yourself. Like, Penn State's a big brand. They travel well. They sell tickets, which matters to these people when it comes to playoff games and bowl games and stuff. Don't think that doesn't go into it. So this is it. Like I said earlier, like Franklin, I don't believe Franklin's in a hot seat. And Franklin, for a guy that hasn't really won anything, has done a great job. Him and his agent. He's got a great agent who represents a lot of the coaches. You'll notice every time there's an opening, Franklin's name always comes up. And that's just their people leaking this stuff to try to get, an extension, more money. It's always something, right? So Franklin has sort of survived and thrived and made a ton of money. They haven't had any scandal. He's getting good kids. They have wicked NFL players, but, Penn State Nation, they want championships. They want to at least play for a championship. Get in the thing, you know what I mean? Give us something here, I think this could be the year. Like I said, West Virginia ended the season strong last year. Have an athletic quarterback. It's, we're talking about a border war here. It's a nasty football game. You're going on the road, but it's, they should get it done. And then you look at Penn State's schedule. As I stated, you don't play the Michigan Wolverines. You get Ohio State at home. You don't play the Oregon Ducks. You go to USC. Like I said, Penn State, and I lived in L.A., man. I remember Penn State played there in the old days, and I was like, dear God, like, you would have thought it was a Penn State home game. Like, Penn State fans are going to travel to Los Angeles more than USC fans are going to travel to the Big West, the Midwest Big Ten teams, I'll tell you that. Like, when Michigan plays in L.A., it's going to be all Michigan, I'm telling you, right? These Midwesterners, like the Bills, like teams like the Steeler fans, fans from cold weather cities love these warm weather games. So Penn State, West Virginia, that's on the 31st. I'm going to be in Vegas for that game. I'm looking forward to this game. That's like that's a noon Eastern game to get the day started too. Big time game. And then you get Bowling Green at Penn State, Kent State at Penn State, Illinois at Penn State, UCLA at Penn State at USC. Okay, that's a battle. All right, Penn State at Wisconsin. It's not a cupcake schedule here, but also very winnable. Ohio State at Penn State, Washington at Penn State at Purdue, Penn State, Minnesota, Maryland, Penn State. Like, this is just, with an expanded playoff, this schedule, dodging the Ducks, dodging the Michigan Wolverines, and Michigan have owned Penn State, too, over the years. Like, they've terrorized them. Sort of like Ohio State used to terrorize Michigan. Michigan have dominated Penn State for years since they came into the Big Ten, and they don't have to play them. Hell, they don't play Iowa even, another defensive team. They should be able to get to 10 wins, this football team. But with all that being stated, yeah, on paper it sounds great, but you're ready to run to the window and put your money on a James Franklin program here and say, I guarantee, I give you $1,000 that, yeah, he's going to win 10 games. It's like, I don't know, even though it's a manageable schedule. Hey, look, I'm a Michigan guy, and even I said the other night, I said, hey, that Michigan game against Illinois is a tricky one this year. Illinois are one of those teams that can catch you. You know what I mean? Like, there's anyone who knows college football knows you can't just assume. You can sort of assume, they're going to win this game, they're going to win that game. You also have to sort of write in your mind here when you're crunching the numbers and betting these futures and understand there's going to be a game that they're not supposed to, like, that people don't think they're going to lose, that they might lose, or it'll be like really close. I brought it up with the Michigan Wolverines. They won the championship. Like, Illinois had them on the brink, man. I think it was like fourth down even once for Michigan. Right? Like there's certain times, like, we did Florida State last year with Boston College. Like Florida State pretty much killed everyone last year, but you remember they played a game and it was really bad weather. It was raining. It was early in the year. It was like week 3, week 4 type thing. And Florida State kept fumbling. It was just one of those days in the pouring rain. And, in Boston, East Coast, kids from Florida playing in Boston, not used to it. And boom, they nearly lost the game. And then they ended up going undefeated. And we know the rest was history after that. So, it's that's why we talk about it. We go over these teams because you can sort of talk yourself into a team. You can look and the initial reaction, oh, look at their schedule and oh, it looks great. Then you got to take a step back, do some more research, you look into some of their opponents and go, you know what, that team's actually better than I thought they were or they're going to be, right? Like, don't just, oh, yeah, look at this, all right, put the bet in, right? Like, look at the future, take a step back, sleep on it, literally, it's, next day, okay, last night, I got to be honest, like, what I do is I'm loading up these lists. I put them in a queue, but I don't put the bet in. And sometimes I look at teams and I'm like, I'm not betting this team. Why did I even put that in there before? And I was like, well, because you liked it at 4 a.m. the other day. It's like, yeah, I don't like that now anymore. There's been a couple of bets like that. Like, you got to really go over it. Listen, there's 134 teams to go over. So you literally have 134 teams. It's a lot of win total options out there. There are winners, but they're not all the obvious ones.
This property runs this community. A lot of people from this community work here. They're proud of this. This has got a lot of history here. And then when you think about the beauty with the hills, the mountains, the trees, the water.
One thing about this place is one of the words he kept saying, family. It's a place that when my family and everyone comes, they treat you like family. They treat you like you're one of their own. And it's, obviously when you look at the place, you look at the rooms, everything, it's like taking a step back in time. And I think that's an absolutely amazing place to be able to put your phone down and slow everything down. I mean, the world these days is so fast. Everything has to get done so quickly. And every time I've come here with my family at Greenbrier, it's like everything stops and it's slow motion. You actually get to enjoy life, enjoy your time with family.
Just this place feels like I'm a kid again. You get out here, you see nature, you see the trails, you see going on a hike. I grew up in Fresno. We go up to the mountains every once in a while, and that's just kind of what it feels like a little bit. Obviously, it's more forested here and whatnot, but the 58, I don't know how to explain it, just kind of semi-blacked out, you can kind of say. It was one of those moments where the last 4 holes, I was obviously trying to win a tournament, but it started to rain, and I just kept focusing on my game. I didn't get outside of this bubble that I created with myself. I just wanted to focus on hitting the next best shot. And I think that's what really pushed me on to focusing on, obviously winning the tournament, but to shoot in the 50s and then ultimately make the 40-footer on the last hole for 58. That was just the cherry on top. And what a special moment, a special place in my heart forever, and probably one of the most special moments in my entire life.
Let's roll. We're into the home stretch right now. Countdown to kickoff is on. We had some great guests tonight. Thanks to Scott Steen for joining us, the Steamroller. Great stuff joining us from Kansas City, although I didn't appreciate all the Buffalo Bill pot shots. That's what happens, though. Listen, they've beaten them. Like, if we had won, I would have been able to have a shot or two along the way. It seems like more a lot of people are sort of, kind of down, more sort of negative on the Buffalo Bills. I don't think this Milano injury helped today, but at the same point in time, he's always hurt. So whatever. It was going to happen at some point. It's better now it almost happens that they can figure it out and move on. But I think the Bills have a shot, right? They've had a shot in the past couple of years. It does seem, it appeared, though, as if though like the last 2 years that the Bills have sort of taken a step, not a step back because they're the same team, but it doesn't feel like they're knocking on the door. But I think it was a lot of the personnel. I think Diggs, and as much as I like Diggs, I think there was a lot of drama with Diggs and just sort of frustration with everything. You had the DeMar Hamlin stuff that, threw that season off, and then they were flat against the Bengals in the playoffs. But like last year, let's not forget. I mean, the Buffalo Bills, I didn't like the play calling on the last drive, and I knew he was going to miss the kick, and he had to get closer. It was just like the Super Bowl all over again with Norwood. I was like, you got to get closer. But let's not forget, the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year. The Buffalo Bills, whatever, Bass misses the field goal, it would have tied the game and sent the game to overtime. Right? Like, the Bills had the lead, too. So, like, the Bills could have beaten, should have beaten Kansas City last year. So, it's not like the Bills are miles away here. But I kind of do like I didn't like the way they looked in the preseason game. But I never care about the preseason, so they got stomped. But I like the sort of the chemistry of the football team. I've heard Josh Allen talk about sort of the atmosphere and said things are sort of, like, freer. He had a subliminal shot about missing Stephon Diggs the other day. So you can just sort of see, I think the Bills are in a pretty good place. I'm just worried about their defensive depth, but I think their offense is going to be so good that it'll be like any other year, man. The Bills are going to win a bunch of games. Their schedule is tough. I've got them, listen, the win total 9.5. They're going to get to 10. And I think personally they'll win 11 or 12 football games. And I don't think I'm being overly dramatic. The Bills are pretty consistent in what they do, and they win 3 games a month. Right? They'll lose a game that they're not supposed to, then they'll rattle off a couple in a row, 3 in a row, and then they'll lose. They're very, pretty consistent with that. So you go 3-1 every month, they'll end up 12-5. But like I said, 11-6. 10-7, I think at the least. But, I think 10-7 will get them to the playoffs. So I think they've got a shot. Kansas City are dangerous, though. Like, it's crazy because no one really believed in Kansas City the last couple of years, yet here we are right now. And they're more, like, stacked than they have been this year than they have been, like, almost ever, right? They've got a lot of really, like, fast athletes on the offensive side of the football right now. They got Patrick Mahomes at his prime. They're a load to deal with. So can anybody in the AFC knock them off? It hasn't just been Buffalo. Like, Buffalo have sort of been isolated about it, right? I don't see, where Joe Burrow made it to the Super Bowl, but, did they get back yet? Did he win yet? Right? So there's a lot of unproven teams. And, I think Kansas City, they're like a fighter or something, that doesn't lose, that after the fight, you're like, you know what? We had him. We were about to choke him out and the round ended, or we knocked him down. He was knocked out, but the ref saved him. Like, it's like Kansas City or like Batman or something. Like, seriously, it's like they call a bat signal, and the old original Batman TV show, he'd be like tied up and he'd be spinning around and it'd be like, until next time, how is he going to get out of this? And you knew why he was. But that's the thing with the Chiefs right now. It's like, yeah, you know what? They don't even look that good. Like, in a regular season, they're not a covering machine. In the playoffs, it's not like they smoke teams in the playoffs. All their freaking wins in the playoffs are super close all the time, right? They don't like, oh, yeah, they killed them. No, it's always like, oh, they hit a field goal. It's always that last-second drama. Right? San Francisco game, the Buffalo games. So they're beatable. All right, we're going to be on tomorrow night. We got Live Golf tomorrow night, so we're only on for 2 hours, 120-minute full court press. On the Friday Night Freak Show, we'll have a ton of football talk. Steve Merrill, Rob Vino, Tony Finn, Cam Stewart will be in the house with us. Other than that, you're on your own. Later.